how to do a content map, sometimes also known as a keyword map. And basically this means where you take your keyword list. So this is usually a combination of what you found from competitors and your keyword research, maybe even what keywords you're currently ranking for. And then you just put it all into one list and you build clusters. So clusters are groups of keywords that are matching a certain search intent. They are at the same point in the sales funnel, so top, middle, or bottom of funnel. That usually matches search intent as well. And it also depends on the vertical that you use them in. So vertical are like groups of related pages, like your product pages, your industry pages, blogs, resource pages, guides, case studies, stuff like this. These are all groups of pages that would be put into a content vertical. So here you can see an example. This is again based on DocuSign with different sorts of product pages here and different industry pages. So industry, I think it's pretty easy to see, like we have a physician, so like a doctor, and then legal documents could be for a lawyer, or it could be actually really anyone. Kind of depends on, we'd have to probably do a little bit more keyword research and make that one a bit more specific. And here's just sort of like informational content that would go in the blog. And there is a template for everything that I'm going to show in the next few slides that is kind of in the form of a spreadsheet. And I do really recommend that you do your keyword map or your content map in the form of a spreadsheet, because it's basically the perfect database for you to host your content strategy on. It's kind of a living, breathing document that you can update. So that's a really good way to think about that. One other thing that I would say here too is that blog content doesn't always necessarily need to be top of funnel. It can be a lot of the time. So top of funnel isn't just informational content. It really depends on how your site structure is set up. So where pages sit on your domain, how your navigation menu is set up, whether you have product pages and industry pages, or whether you have just a few product pages and then some resources. So this is not all like it has to be this way, that you need exactly this sole content vertical setup. But I do recommend in any case that you try to create verticals, because then it's easier to build on them. So like industries is one of the best places that I really see to do this, because once you have physician and legal documents, you can add any sort of other business. You can add banks, you can add grocery stores or supermarkets or retailers or something like this. I think you get the idea. And that is basically how you would scale your SEO strategy, is by building on all of your verticals. So this is also from the form of a spreadsheet. Again, this template is down here. So once you have your keyword list that is put into clusters, so groups of related keywords, then I recommend to lay it out on a spreadsheet basically like this. So you have your content vertical, which is blog. You have your topic, electronic signature requirements, the URL. The URL should match this focus keyword if possible, or as closely as possible without being super long. So we have our focus keyword, electronic signature requirements. You can see this URL is the same. And then we put basically the rest of the related keywords into a follow-up section here. And these keywords, this is actually what should become your headings in your content, or the sections in your content and what you'll talk about. Of course, you can add to it or take away from it as you need, depending on what you want to do with that content itself, the goal, how you plan to use it. But at least you know that this content is built on keywords that match each other, so they have a better chance of page ranking for multiple keywords. They make sense for the topic, so it's not covering too much or too little. And it's also really using your keywords strategically. And you can also add a little bit more information to this if it's helpful for you. You can add something like a status. You can add maybe your SEO title and your meta description. This is, let me go back here. So this is the SEO title, and this is the description, the stuff that comes up when you Google something. You can add proposed content updates if you're optimizing current content. So basically you just add as much information as useful for you, depending on where you're at in your strategy.
Adriana, just one question, sorry to interrupt, but I think this is about that particular slide. Should the URL structure include the word blog?
As a parent page, it's a good idea. And the reason why is because it organizes your sitemap, and the more organized your sitemap is, then the easier it is to crawl and index. So if anyone's new to SEO, your sitemap is basically this like skeleton of your whole website. And that's something usually you either submit through Google Search Console, or maybe if you use WordPress, there's a plugin for that where it's automatically done. But basically the URLs that you set up and the parent pages, a parent page is basically the page level that sits above the end URL. So in this case, the blog would be the parent page. So it would be like yourdomain.com/blog/electronic signature requirements. And do try to stick to this organized and consistent structure if you can, because that goes into your sitemap and then it's easier to crawl and index.